All right. There was some technical issue. The issues are resolved now. Again, gentlemen, welcome to the show. Let me start all over by welcoming all of you to focus on Liberia. We are here to talk about ALJA, the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas. We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. Let's start by asking you, Mr. President, what is ALJA and what is
Well,
ALJA all about?
the long and short of ALJA is that we are a media advocacy group that is committed to championing the cause of press freedom, freedom of speech, insisting on those principles of good governance that is so important to sustaining the democracy we have. We are also involved in media development, specifically ensuring that we are enhancing the professional capacity of our colleagues in Liberia in the form of training, scholarship, and logistics. So that's ALJA in short.
That's ALJA in short, and it has the word journalist. Let me ask journalist Dr. Samuel Johnson, when you say Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, tell me a little bit more about what this group does, what you stand for.
Like Joe said, we support media development. We also work in the areas of good governance. And the reason for that is you cannot talk about good governance without looking at the role of the media, which serves as a conduit between people and the state. And so they are able to facilitate that conversation to ensure that government's actions are representative of the aspirations and wishes of the people. And so when you talk about the media, that is our central focus. But in terms of journalists, ALJA is made of both formerly practicing and currently practicing journalists who are resident in the Americas. And being a resident here, we cannot divorce ourselves from our colleagues in the homeland. And so we have that working relationship with reporters, journalists, producers, and whosoever newspapers, radio stations back home. And so we work in partnership with our colleagues back home to ensure that Liberia is governed properly by the principles of good governance, that the issue of free speech and rights to free expression are respected as guaranteed by the Liberian Constitution.
When you say those of us we grew up with the Press Union of Liberia, PUL, is ALJA kind of PUL in America, or how? I mean, how do I think about it? As someone who grew up, watching and following PUL.
We work in partnership with the President of Liberia. The President of Liberia is our principal partner in Liberia. And this is not a 60-40 partnership. It's a 50-50 partnership. We on an even keel. But we do not work anywhere in Liberia in isolation of the President of Liberia. So in a way, we are supportive of the goals, the objectives, and the mission of the President of Liberia. And among those goals, objectives, and mission is to foster the issue of good governance and the respect for free speech and participatory democracy. So we work in partnership. Here, we do not regulate media people's behavior here, although we look forward to people behaving in keeping with the code of ethics that govern journalism. One of the things I like is that is in the journalist creed is do not write of someone that which you do not want to be written of yourself. So it's about good conduct both in the private and the public space. And those are things we try to ensure among our members here. But we do not go about regulating media like the way the president of Liberia does.
Yeah.
Because they have the gavel, they have the box to throw at you when you violate the ethics of the president of Liberia. But having said that, what we do also is to ensure that people are given the capacity to function as independent, properly trained, forward-thinking journalists governed by the ethics of the profession.
Let me come to Mr. President. When we say journalists, okay, with Liberian journalists in the Americas, Liberian journalists in the Americas. Oh, so tell me, who is a Liberian journalist that you are, that forming this group? Who do you consider? And I'm asking this question from the background of what we have now. There's a lot of media people all here, social media, talk show, and different groups. So when you say Liberian journalists, who comprise of this group? Who are the journalists?
Like Sam said rightly, we're not obviously the PL of the journalism profession as it's practiced here in the United States. So when we consider journalists, is anyone who is involved in the collection or and dissemination of information. And in our job, we have three categories of membership when we say Liberian journalists. So um, first is the regular membership. Regular membership entails that you are a Liberian who reside in the United States either by birth or by some association with a family member or parent who who came originally from Liberia. So that's the first category of membership. The second category of membership is the associate membership, because ALJA members who are eligible to vote have to reside in the United States. But we also do have associate members who might not necessarily reside in the United States, but are journalists and live in other parts of the world. We do have associate members who live in Europe and in Asia, and they come consistently for our conventions. And the third category of membership we have is honorary membership. Honorary membership entails that you support the work we do and you were recommended by the chapter in which you live to become an honorary member. So those are the three categories of membership we have: regular membership, affiliate membership, associate membership, and the final is the honorary membership. We're trying to involve as many Liberians as possible.
Okay.
While we don't regulate folks who work in the media, we're hoping that if you work in the media, you're a journalist, you're in the business of collecting and disseminating information, our expectation is that you will see ALJA as a noble organization. You will see us as an entity that is doing some really good work in our advocacy and in our support to the media in Liberia, and hopefully join us and be a part of this cause. So those are the three categories of membership we have, and hopefully those who are listening right now and want to be a part of this organization. And we're open. We're open. I think we are a noble organization. We can talk about how ALJA began in the first place, and just talk about some of the great things that we do.
Right. So I know that journalists and former journalists. So to be an ALJA member, do you have to first practice journalism in Liberia? Do you have to practice journalism here, or do you have to tell me in practical terms who can become a member?
Yeah. So if you either practice in Liberia or you're practicing here, or because it's current, you might be practicing currently, or you may have practiced in the past. So we refer to ourselves as current and retired Liberian journalists. So you either may be practicing the profession now here in the United States, or may have practiced before either here in the United States or back home. That makes you, qualified to become a member of ALJA, a regular member, as long as you reside in these United States. If you don't reside here, you reside outside the United States, you can still be a member, but you have an affiliate membership as opposed to regular membership.
Okay. So currently, what is the size of your membership? What are your chapters, and what's your current membership strength?
Our membership currently hovers around 90 individuals, including our members who reside outside the United States. So currently, we're at about that number, around 90. We do have 4 functioning chapters. We have the Midwest chapter that includes Minnesota, where I do reside, Iowa, the Dakotas, and surrounding states. We do have the Delaware Valley chapter on the East Coast, Philadelphia, Delaware, and surrounding states as well. New England, where we'll be hosting our convention this year. Connecticut, Vermont, and surrounding states, Massachusetts. And then we have the latest chapter, the newest chapter is the DMV chapter. That is the DC, the Maryland area, and Virginia. So those are the 4 functioning chapters we have currently. The goal, hopefully, is to begin to expand the ALJA to see, if we can reach out to many states and include many other journalists to be a part of this work we do.
Good. And you are not in Georgia?
Not yet, not currently, not currently.
We are hoping that you can begin the Georgia.
Right. I thought Dr. Johnson was going to say shame on you.
No, I'm not going to say shame on you. I'm not going to say we hope that you can begin the work on the Georgia chapter.
And Dr. Johnson, most of the time when you look at this organization, you look at the mission, it's beautiful. And when I was reading your mission, I really like it. It says here to foster camaraderie amongst its members and their American counterparts to champion the cause of press freedom in Liberia through media advocacy, logistical support, and training. I want to also stop there. Let's deep a little do a deep dive into the second part. Champion the cause of press freedom in Liberia through media advocacy, logistical support, and training. That's your mission. That's the reason you exist. To what extent have you been able to live up to that mission? Give me some things that you've done here.
Well, we've been doing a lot over the years since we've been in existence. Let me just say about what we did this year, this programming year of our organization. We were able to provide training to female journalists in Liberia, not only in the Monrovia area, but female reporters from across the country, all of the 15 counties. They had gathered in Monrovia and were able to provide them training in Monrovia. The training covered basic things like basic news writing, basic interviewing techniques, strategies for reporting. And we're able to do that using trainers from here who've worked with reputable agencies like the National Public Radio to provide such training. Not only NPR, we had a trainer that came from a local newspaper organization in Cleveland, Ohio. And so we're able to, using modern technology like what you and I are using now, we're able to gather a group of trainers who were able to provide them training in Liberia. Our hope is that we can go back now and look and see that it has impacted their skills, even though a lot of them at the end of the training, that the end of training evaluation spoke highly of how good the training was, how much it brightened their eyes to new techniques of reporting. Along with that, we've been providing logistical support. Recently, we sent home over 15 computers, Joe. But we're sending many computers to various media institutions in Liberia. To those female journalists, Dennis, it will interest you to know that at the end of the training, we also provided them macro reporters to enhance their reportage. Apart from that, we also, except this year, but we also included training in every convention we've had over the last 5 years, because reporters from Liberia come to the States. But we are also able to establish connections in Monrovia using a particular location where reporters from Liberia gather, and we provide training as a component of our convention. Recently in June, we launched what we call the Joel Tear Memorial Scholarship Program at the University of Liberia. So we're not only providing middle-level training or beginner-level training, we're also supporting tertiary level training at the University of Liberia, where we are sponsoring or helping 2 students at the university who are in the mass comm department. Besides that, we also comment on governance issues from time to time that occur in Liberia.
Right, and I'm coming to that governance issue, right? Because most of the time we have these organizations say promote and foster the principle of good governance in Liberia through social advocacy. How you do that?
We do that mostly through using what I call the oversight function. We do not go and tell you what to do, what not to do. We just observe, monitor, and then call your attention to things that we consider to be excesses of governance. And so if you look at our statements, they haven't been one of conflictual. We don't see the government as an enemy or as an opponent in whom we are in this wrestle. Instead, we see this government as a partner. And so the best way we can enhance that partnership is to keep a check, to point a light in the direction that we think is better for the development of the country and for the governance of all. Because lest we forget, it was just the same issue of governance that threw us back many years ago to a deadly civil war. I think one of the deadliest ever in human history, a civil war that caused 10% of the country's population to go away in the way it went. And so we are conscious of that. And so we always try in our statement just to hold government feet to the fire using our oversight function.
And Mr. President, I know governance is not only with government of Liberia. There's governance even in churches. Okay. How have you been able to do this advocacy, especially, people, you are a group of people and everybody has his or her own interest. Maybe if you were to write a press release, how do you balance it so that those that are pro, those that are on this side, how do you come to a point of saying, okay, this is what we're going to do? What is guiding you in doing those kind of advocacy?
Good question, Dennis. ALJA as an organization, like you pointed out correctly, has members with diverse views and different political orientations. We come from, different points of view. what we try to do is to ensure that when we do issue or release, when we do take a position, it's reflective of the broad consensus of the majority of our membership. Because obviously, like you said, not everyone would agree on everything we say. But as the leadership, we try to reflect, the broader views of the majority of our members. And there are pushback sometimes from others who, one way or the other, might not favor what we say. But I think they've come to respect the leadership in the way that they're confident that when we do take a position, it's not meant for any selfish reasons. It's because we mean well and we want to contribute to the betterment of our country. Because we consider our social advocacy role a very important part of our mission as an organization. Because like the vice president said correctly, many people suffered, many people bled, many people died for the democracy we currently enjoy, and we all need to ensure at every level of our country that we are doing everything we can do not to revert to those dark days in our country. Because you see, every government will try to stretch the limit to what they can do, and the more they stretch the limit, the more they will continue to abuse people's rights and take advantage of the citizenry. But as a advocacy organization, we have to ensure that we are pushing back, we are holding them accountable, we are providing this check so that they're doing the things that they're expected to do. So yeah, to answer the question, not everyone in the organization we agree to every position we take, but we try to reflect the broader view of the broad majority of our membership.
Thank you. Dr. Johnson, you talk about, and I like when people are living their mission, right? Because sometimes we write these missions and we're doing something else. So that's a good thing. We Most of the what you said, talk about what you were doing in Liberia. What are the benefits that your members here in the United States get from being part of ALJA?
That's a very important question. Let's look at the Liberian front and then we'll come back to the United States front later. For the fact that we are contributing and helping to sustain the peace and democracy in Liberia, we derive some level of satisfaction as members. We may not all entirely agree with what position the organization takes, which speaks to diversity of views and in this whole concept of peaceful coexistence, we are able to reflect and express our views devoid of any rancor or expectation of reprisal. And so we derive that satisfaction from the fact that we are all contributing to governance and development in Liberia. On the US front, that is something we've been keen about this particular programming year. Yes, we are contributing to things in Liberia that derives onto us some satisfactory dividend. But what happened here to us as people? And so maybe I'll just jump one step ahead to preempt the next question. That is going to be one focus of our convention this year. So an essential piece there is we're going to be having Alex Coffey, who's been hosting the Focus on Liberia Marketplace. He's going to be addressing our convention this year, looking at the issue of how do you build personal wealth in the United States. We've all come to the United States for various reasons. But one thing that is crucial here, in order to live in this country, you should be able to grow some wealth, to sustain yourself, your family here, and your families in Liberia. And unless we can be able to address that to ensure that people have some form of economic independence, they wouldn't be able to participate in organizations like ALJA, least to say, to impact development in Liberia. And so conscious of that, we've made that a plank as a part of our programming for this year. And so we've been working on that intensely as a leadership. And so this year at the convention, we're going to be having Alex to open our eyes to some of the basic things that we can do, because that is, whether we like it or not, very soon we'll all be in retirement. Yeah. So what do we do when retirement comes? I mean, I know, Joe, we tend to brush that aside, but think about it. It's a reality we all have to face.
It is.
So you can only think about retirement if you begin to build your wealth now. And the economists, I believe in the life cycle hypothesis. We've gone past the age now of savings. That is when we're living with our parents. We're now in the stage of accumulation. Very soon we hit retirement age. We should be about to dis-save. That is what we save during this accumulation year. But we can only dis-save or draw down on that accumulation if we build up wealth or asset in these years of our productive lives. And so we want to be bringing in Alex to open our eyes, to help us answer some of these questions. It's just, I know it may seem like a drop in the bucket, But it's our own humble way of moving this forward. And going forward, it's going to remain an essential plank of our program.
But I think I've had people say to me, and I think we can all agree that knowledge is power.
Mm.
When people have knowledge, they're able to utilize that knowledge to their advantage. Look, one of the things I'm grateful for as president of ALJA is that people join the organization believing in the goals and aspirations of the organization and not expecting anything in return. But when you do join an organization, you become a part of the family, and one of the things that's stressed in ALJA is that we are a family, and family look after one another. We seek each other's professional and personal well-being, but again, like the vice president said, we're also now being intentional because in the past, all our efforts, our training, our resources are being geared towards, this mission of reaching back and giving back and trying to ensure that the media landscape is such that it is impacting, the society for the better. That has been our core mission. It still remains our core mission, but I think we can do that while trying to meet some of the basic needs of our members here. So that's what I want to do this year, like he mentioned with the training, the financial training he mentioned earlier.
Thank you. Let's go into the history, but as we go throughout the program, what I want you to think about, and I'm going to ask you this question at the end of the show, is if ALJA were to cease to exist today, what will the people in America, the people in Liberia miss about ALJA? Don't respond now. Let's go into the history, because you see, when you look at the history, even if you're writing grant or doing something, they look at where you've been. Walk me through your history. What have you been? How long have you been around? And during that time, what have you been able to accomplish so that people look at it and say, yes, this is a group that we can work with? Mr. President, you want to weigh in?
Yes, certainly. So during the course of the civil crisis, many people fled the country during the 90s. And among the group of people who fled were many journalists. I mean, we can all talk about, how journalists were impacted during the crisis. So many ended up here in the United States. And when they arrived here, they decided that even though we are still far away from home, but we believe our voice is still consequential, it still needs to be heard. So they sat down and crafted this noble idea that is now called ALJA. The likes of Mr. Kenneth Best from The Observer, a household name in journalism in the country, who became ALJA's first president. Mr. Isaac Bantu, who for a long time worked with the BBC, he became the first vice president. Mr. Gabriel Williams, who was with the Inquirer for many, many years, he was the first Secretary General. So ALJA began in 1998. But towards the end of 2004, the organization crumbled. There was internal rift in the leadership. There was crisis here and crisis there, which is all too common in our organizations here in the diaspora. So ALJA crumbled. So from 2004 to 2014, it lay dormant. So for almost 10 years, nothing happened. In 2014, a group of us came together, headed by my immediate predecessor, Moses Sendi, and we decided to resuscitate this organization because when I was in Liberia, I would follow ALJA's work. I would listen to their advocacy and their press releases, and I was impressed with the work they were doing. So I was sad, like many other people, when the organization crumbled. As a matter of fact, I tell people when I came to the United States, my first convention that I ever attended was an ALJA convention in Washington, D.C. in 2001. But again, like I said, 2004, the organization crumbled. So we came together 2014, and I was then asked to serve as the coordinator for the Midwest region to help put together, because prior to its demise, the Midwest region was, I believe, one of the most vibrant chapter of ALJA at the time. So I was asked to reactivate the Midwest region. My immediate predecessor, Moses Sandy, was a coordinator at the time. And so we came together in Delaware in early 2014 for what was called the mini convention. At that mini convention, we put into place the structure. We elected an interim leadership. and we decided we'll meet subsequently in Delaware again in September of that year for our first post-crisis convention. At that convention, Moses Cindy was elected the president, and I was elected vice president, and that began this quote-unquote new ALJA, or the resuscitated ALJA as we have it now.
Thank you. So as of today, I don't know if that's part of what you do. Does ALJA have like a newspaper, a TV? I know there are ALJA members that have or do many of these things, but ALJA has a body. Is it in your plan, or do you already have like a magazine, a TV station, a news outlet, anything of that sort?
ALJA doesn't have. We have a newsletter. We don't have a television station or platform currently. I think what we're trying to do right now, as we approach the general election, we realize that ALJA can play a consequential role when it comes to how we interact with candidates, how we hold them accountable, how we provide a platform for candidates to be able to come on and talk about their platforms. One of the things ALJA does well is that it doesn't matter whether you're in a opposition or you're in a government. They see our platform as an opportunity to come, and I think I don't know if it happened in other areas and other events, but at many, if not all of our conventions, it's not uncommon to find the opposition, folks from the opposition and folks from the government interacting in a way that is healthy. Yeah, sometimes I think there's a tension in there, but I think when we are conducting ourselves in a manner that is respectful, in a manner that is civil, I think it bodes well for our democracy. So what we're trying to do is we have a press club that is responsible for that. So we're looking into, there's a possibility that we will begin to hold a platform that will engage audiences, engage candidates as we head towards election. We try to do that during the COVID, but obviously COVID made it impossible to be able to hold the press club in the engagement exercise. But hopefully that is something we'll continue to do as we go towards the election.
Right. And Dr. Johnson, you can add on that too. And I want to know to what has been the impact or ALJA's impact on, we were talking about governance, how, especially as we go towards the elections now, the media role is very critical. So what has been the level of engagement in doing these things, and what has the impact been over the years?
Well, I mean, some bias here, given that I'm an ALJA official, but I think we've made tremendous impact in Liberia. For the fact that, in fact, if someone came from Liberia some time ago, he said to me, whenever there is a national issue, what seems to be inherent tension within the governance structure, and no one is speaking, people begin to ask questions. Where is ALJA? Why hasn't ALJA spoken on this? This should be a matter that must seize their attention. And so that speaks to the level of impact, that we have a recognized voice in governance. We have a recognized voice that is seen to be a voice that is reflective of the wishes and aspirations of the people. And so, like I said, it's mostly our oversight role that we hold the entire system to accountable. It may not be government alone. It's about everybody, every institution that is a stakeholder in the governance process. So it can be the opposition itself. Sometimes we hold them accountable when we find that they are in excess of what is expected of them as an institution in this governance space. Because the intent of the governance space is to facilitate equality for all people, and most importantly, ensuring the peace and stability. And that can only be done when everybody is playing their own fair share. And that is what ALJA seeks to do. That is what we've been doing over the years, to ensure that everybody is held to account on the same set of standards.
Mr. President, maybe this is a request or this is a question. What can you do? Because we have the media landscape has changed. A lot is on social media, citizen journalism, and there's a proliferation of platforms or social media platforms that give out information, news reporting, all that sort. What is ALJA doing maybe to help these social media platforms, those that are in the media business, to help them? Because believe it or not, when these things go out, they call everybody journalists. And so it reflects on you. So when people are putting out what I would say, people that pretend to be media institutions putting out garbage, they say, where is ALJA? So what is ALJA doing not only to help but to engage and also bring these people under the ALJA umbrella so that what comes out of them, because people that see us abroad, they say, oh, that's a liberal media institution. And if they are quote unquote messing up, that could be a reflection on ALJA. So what are you doing in that direction?
I don't know. Good question, Dennis, but I don't know if, as an organization here in the United States, which is unlike what the period is doing in Liberia. The period is basically a regulatory it's an umbrella organization that incorporates, all journalists in Liberia. I don't know if the same structure can work here in the United States when it comes to uh, people who are in the media business, whether it is talk show hosts, whether it is people who have their social media platform. I don't know if that is something AJA can regulate, because there's no way we can censure these people. If someone is ethically transgressing, there's nothing AJA can do. We don't have that regulatory power. So what we're trying to do is engage people on the basis of the individual as opposed to where they work. We're hoping that whether it's your talk show host, whether you have your own media platform, you can engage with AJA. You can be a member of AJA, like you said correctly. There are many people in AJA who host their own talk shows, and in these camaraderie, when we do get to meet, like we're meeting in Worcester this weekend, we do have these programs, we do have these different sections, we do have these experts who are speaking. Hopefully, you come away better off in terms of what we were telling you about what the ethical standards are. How do you hold yourself accountable as someone who is in the media business? How do you ensure that you're providing information that is fair, that is balanced, that is accurate to your listening or your viewing audience? So that is what we're trying to do, as opposed to saying to people, no, you got to do this. We want to bring you on board, be a part of what we do, and come and be a part of the different trainings that we carry out.
Right.
Right now we are linking up with universities and colleges. We're getting experts from these colleges and universities to just help give back, give instructions, give training to our members and people who come from Liberia. So that is what we're trying to do. Bring you on board, be a part of what we're doing, as opposed to AJA being like a police, journalism police that is policing the work people do.
Yeah. And yeah, Dr. Johnson, I was speaking, and Mr. President, I was speaking more of a collaboration and training and outreach and engagement. Dr. Johnson, if you can add anything to that.
I don't know how much significant I can add, but I think the issue of outreach and engagement or partnerships is something we are open to. And it is part of that we continue to engage universities and institutions of higher learning in this country to help us build capacity back home. But we are also open to, I mean, the point you brought up, Dennis, is an important point. But like the president said, we do not have that power, but we are also open to working with institutions like yours to build capacity, because we do not have the policing powers. We can do that here, but we can build capacity and get you to be encouraged to see the light and follow it in the right way.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberal Spotlight. We are in conversation with the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas. Convention is next week, and we are talking about ALJA, and we're going to talk about the convention. We're going to have our phone line up. We want you to call in and engage. ALJA is a big organization. I see it has the umbrella organization of all Liberian journalists in the Americas. So, what can ALJA do to help all of us to put out the best or reach our potential in partnership, capacity building, and the rest of it? So, if you are just joining, please, you can post your comments. You can call in. I see a few comments here. Admeke Salif say, hello, Mr. President. And I and Dr. Vice President. Ma'am, formula, good evening. I'm watching from Battery Factory. Aaron Siafai, hello, Mr. President. Mozilla Gizi, good evening, gentlemen. Emmanuel Jackson is giving bad news here. Say we lost James Innes. That's very sad. He said we need an independent school of journalism in Mama, Liberia, free from political influence and promoting policy for institutional developments in the country. And Jackson says he's going to attend. He's not too far from Worcester.
Excellent. Excellent.
And that's a good segue into the convention. How long have you been having convention anyway? And what is this convention all about?
Well, this is the if post-crisis convention. I think I mentioned earlier that ALJA began in 1998, but then died sometime in 2004. Was resuscitated in 2014.
I think I'll prefer the word coma, Mr. President.
I'm sorry.
I'll prefer the word coma.
Coma. Yeah. So this is the if convention we're having post-crisis. So yes. So I don't know what the next question was, but this is the if convention we're having.
And why you need a convention? What is this convention all about?
Well, the convention, one of the things that is unique to ALJA, I think you mentioned earlier, is this sense of camaraderie. We are colleagues. We consider ourselves, colleagues, like you said. It doesn't matter. You might have worked in Liberia before, work here, but the journalism profession is very, very small. Everybody know everybody, So this is one time where we come together to just continue to foster that spirit of camaraderie, but more importantly, to take stock of where we've come from over the year in terms of what we're able to achieve or what we did not achieve over the year, and how do we discuss the way forward. One of the things we also try to do is discuss substantive national issues that we'll be doing this year, and our overall theme for this year is sustaining our democracy now and in the future, the 2023 general elections in the media. That's what we'll be talking about because, I say to everybody, these elections that are coming up next year are consequential elections. They're very important for just continuing the peace that we have in the country right now. And so our goal as an organization is to make sure that all the players, all the actors, whether it is the Elections Commission, whether it is the Liberian government itself, whether it's the opposition, everyone is doing their part to ensure that elections are free, they're fair, they're transparent. Mind you, we've had a checkered history when it comes to elections in the country. You can go back before the war and their history that proves that terrible elections resulted in the crisis we have for these many years. And the last thing we want to do is to go back to those dark days because elections have been adjudged to be rigged. We don't want that. So that is the spotlight we're putting on these elections, and we have some really wonderful speakers that will be coming. We have our guest speaker is Anthony Samuel Kofi Woods II. He is a legal consultant at the Liberia Law Society, served formerly as Labour Minister and as Public Works Minister under President Erling Sirleaf. He will be our guest speaker. Again, like I said, he brings a lot of credibility to this issue. A longtime human rights campaigner, was formerly head of the Catholic Justice and Peace Commission. So we're excited by what he has to say. We also have, as a prime speaker, Grand Bassa County Senator Nyombli Kanga. She will also speak, but speak more specifically to a subtopic of the convention, and that is women political participation. It's a subtopic, but we believe that is an important part of our conversation when it comes to elections. Women, they constitute a significant percentage of the population, but yet their political participation is very, very, very low. You consider how many women we have, in the Senate, how many we have in House of Representatives, they're very, very, very low. How do we change that? How do we increase the number of women participating in the process? What are those obstacles and hurdles that are making it difficult for them to be fully involved in this exercise? So that is something we also talked about on that weekend, and Senator Kanga will speak to that also. I would like the Vice President to continue because I think he's involved in the planning as well. He's He knows more about the panel discussion happening on Friday, so I'll let him continue with the planning.
And Mr. Vice President, let's start with the time, the date and time of this, and you can continue with the rest of the activities expected to happen.
The Friday activity will begin by 9 a.m. and
What's the date?
it's going to be September
30th.
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 Yeah.
And we're going to have a panel discussion to set the stage for Senator Kanga Lawrence's speech on Saturday morning, let's say. And so we're going to have women who've taken part in elections in Liberia before. Former Nimba County Superintendent Ide Gonglo Ware, who also contested the senatorial election the last time around, will be speaking to the same issue of challenges that are facing women's political participation in Liberia. We're also going to be having former senatorial candidate Magdala Cooper. She will also be speaking on the same issue. Now, if you
She was
look at the choice
presidential
of
candidate
speakers,
too.
hmm?
I said she was presidential candidate too.
Yeah, former presidential candidate.
All right.
Right. So if you look at the speaker, you can see the intentionality there. There have been women who've contested these seats and lost, and there is a woman who've contested this seat and won, not once but twice. So what explains that gap? What experiences they can bring to bear that can be shared with other women who are aspiring for political office in Liberia? Least we forget the extent to which these women are able to succeed in politics is also going to impact our own girls' perception of what politics look like, and even encourage them to either participate or not to participate in politics. We will hope that we can use this as a forum to encourage more women to participate, to dare the devil and engage in politics. If you look at the numbers don't speak well for women political participation, especially at the elite level. And if that should continue, it will also affect women's political participation at the micro level. And so we don't want that situation to happen. We want women to continue to be engaged and have their voices reflected in governance because we think it's important for the sake of equity. And on after that, on Friday afternoon, we want to try to do some warming up. Mr. President is going to lead a team of soccer players from ALJA to play the Old Timers Association in our host area in Worcester. Dennis, I don't know whether you're flying in, but you should come and see me kicking ball that day. That is something you don't know about me. I'm a very
We're looking for players, so Dennis can join the team. We're looking for players.
So you're welcome to come. Just bring all you need to bring is your cleats or your boots, as we say in Liberia. We have jerseys to line up. Just tell us your number, we'll reserve your jersey.
When I was playing, I was playing in bare feet, so I don't think that can work this time.
Yeah,
so who can actually attend, and what's the requirement if I want to attend? Say I'm not a journalist, but I want to benefit because these topics. And when you were talking about women participation, I think I need those speakers too because I want more women participation in programs like this. Sometimes I have a show and they say, "Dennis, where are the women?" Yeah. And so we've been trying, So I'll need that formula. So who can attend, and what is the cost for attending?
You can attend the indoor activities, Dennis. It is open to the public. Except for the banquet, we want to be using the banquet on Saturday evening to raise funds to support our programs in Liberia, especially our Joe Memorial Scholarship Fund Drive. And so there's going to be a fee at the door. We will expect that a manifestation would not hesitate to drop us $100 as a cover to enter. And that's all will be required. But we also have tickets for as low as what? $40, Mr. President?
Yes, for singles, yes.
For singles. But for couple and VIPs or men of reputable stature, I don't like to use the word VIPs then, it eliminates other potential donors from the high end. But people of reputable stature like you, $100 at the door shouldn't scare you away.
Right. So
and then also, just to plug in here, I hope Focus on Liberia would hold us to account for that. But we still have some space in our program for advertisement. So
let's talk about that. If you're selling tickets, is it online? Are you calling people and the spots in your program? Let's talk the business side because I'm going to ask you also about the money. All these things require money. How you how is ALJA able to sustain itself and support programs in Liberia? So let's talk about the tickets and also the spots that you are selling in your program.
I will defer to my boss for now.
So, so the tickets, like you mentioned, so $100 per couple and $40 for singles. Obviously, people are open to donate above and beyond that amount for entry into the banquet, the formal banquet that even where we'll have the speakers, and we intend to have some entertainment as well that evening. We talked about that, but let me just say this: one of the ways we support AJA is by what the membership pay, and then when we do meet at our convention, we have what we call the media fund drive. That media fund drive drives the support for the media, our media projects in Liberia, whether it is for the scholarship, for training and logistics. We try to raise money at the banquet, and the more money we raise, the more impactful we can be in terms of how much we're able to do the following year. So it's the biggest fundraising effort that we have, and so we want to encourage everyone who is in the area, the Worcester area. We want to encourage our partners, people who have supported AJA over the years, to please. I mean, we've this last year, our assistance to the media increased. I would say probably tenfold, and it was based on the fundraising numbers we have from last year. We want to do even more, but it will be dependent on how much we're able to raise again this year. So AJA members will be there to support the organization, but we're hopeful that others who are invited will see it fit and see the good work we do, and be able to support the media fund drive.
Let's talk about your tickets. If I want to attend, where can I get tickets? And
So
how can
tickets,
I,
tickets, we have tickets at the different chapters level, but mainly tickets will be at the door because we expect that if you're attending, you will be in Worcester, so we expect to have tickets at the door.
right? So right now, if I want to buy a ticket, what do I do?
Well, you contact the contact number on the flyer we're having. Hope I don't have the flyer that they put up, but once you call that number, they will direct you how to get tickets. They probably send the tickets to
And
you directly, or you can there's a venue in Worcester from where you can get tickets as well.
Dr. Johnson was talking about spots in your program. If I want to advertise on your program, what is the cost? And also, who should I be contacting?
So we have different rates for advertisement. What we're doing this year is ensuring that not only are we advertising in the souvenir program, but we're also doing so on the red carpet banner. So you have two options. You can either do both. Have your advertisement on the red carpet banner, which is visible for everybody to see, because the red carpet will be everywhere. Everybody will line up to do pictures, and those pictures will be on social media and all over the place. And obviously your logo will be very, very visible. Or you can also advertise in the souvenir program. There are different rates that we have. $75 for half page. We have $100 for full page in the souvenir program. It's also $100 for advertisement on the logo. So we're giving both the logo advertisement on the banner, the red carpet banner, and the souvenir program for $200 for half page, and for $300 for full page.
Just to add to that, Dennis, if I may, you are asking
Yes,
about the
sir.
numbers. The numbers to call are 617-309-6349.
Say the numbers again.
The numbers are 617-309-6349 or 404-449-7520. Those are numbers you can call, and then you'll be given tickets.
Okay,
Goodbye.
let me repeat those numbers, and let me make sure I get them correctly. The first one is 617-309-6349.
Correct?
And we have the second number is 404-449-7520.
Correct.
If I call those numbers, and if you want to call the show right now to participate, the number is 605-313-6004. The code is 791403 pound. If you have questions for my guests, please call in and or participate. ALJA, from what I'm hearing here and from what I've known, is a very good organization. I was very close to some of those that were in the founding stages of this organization, and I saw that it's been through a lot and it's still going strong. So this is something that we need to support. Let me read some comments here. I have a question here for you. Anthony CS, can ALJA consider planning and conducting presidential debate as its signature contribution to Liberia?
Yes, I think I mentioned that earlier. A good question, Anthony, and thank you for the question. That is certainly something ALJA is looking into. As a matter of fact, we've discussed that months ago, and that is something we'll probably formalize at our convention this weekend, because I think ALJA provides, given the credibility of the organization, ALJA can be the unique body that organizes a debate. I'm sure the candidates would be more inclined to attend and go for their views for folks who will be voting. So yes, that is something we're looking into, and we'll certainly have more details after the convention this weekend.
Right, that's good. We at Focus on Labra have been making the attempts because almost like if a government official comes to the United States, they go to a friendly platform. If an a pro-government platform, opposition go to a pro-opposition platform, we see that a lot. So we've been trying to see how we can have other talk show hosts get on one platform to host these things, and ALJA will be in a better position to do that, right? Not just even we have some with some elections going on here in America, right? This organization, maybe that would be somewhere that ALJA can start to host the debates of people, let's say Bond County Association, Nimba County Association, things like that. We've been making some efforts here as well. This question is from Ahmed Salif. He says, I appreciate that ALJA issues position statements on pressing national issues. However, it has always been my opinion that ALJA's impact can reverberate way into expounding directions such as making substantial suggestions towards exercising good government and governance in Liberia. For example, not only should ALJA be known for objectively speaking against or against and on issues, but could do the research is serious journalists are known for to proffer policy options with demonstrable evidence. That's a long one.
Yeah, that's a long one, but I mean, it's a good point. It's a good observation, but I think that is something we strive to do over these years. We have not just been critical of issues taking place, we've also provided policy directions. Ahmed is a policy analyst, and one thing he knows is that we cannot go beyond just making suggestions because we are not the policy implementers. And so sometimes, and even in governance cycles, that is always a challenge. People may do different types of analysis and reach the same conclusion on the problem, but there can be disagreement given political orientation, given academic orientation on how do you address that particular problem. And so you always see that inherent tension in policy cycles. And so what ALJA has been doing, it hasn't just been about calling people to account or throwing the book at people, but we've also been suggesting in our own limited ways policy directions that we think will be useful to address those particular problems that we at a particular time have identified in the country. And so that is something we've been doing. It's something we want to continue doing as we go forward because Liberia is our own homeland, and we can't do anything less than doing that to the country.
But let me just add this too.
Sure.
One of the things I think, this discussion emerged following the death of Philip Buse. I think the suggestion was made to ALJA. Why is it that ALJA cannot engage in documenting this historical accomplishment of some of these journalists who are no longer with us? Everybody recognized that Philip Buse was indeed an iconic figure when it comes to the media in Liberia. What happens to Philip Buse history? Can ALJA engage in that process where they're documenting the work and achievement of the likes of Philip Buse so that posterity can be able to just read about who this man was. Young journalists can emulate who he was. So I mean, these are really wonderful suggestions. I just certainly has the expertise to do something of this nature. I think what we need to find out now is how do we get the resources to be able to accomplish this? Because I think too often what is missing is the fact that we're not documenting our history. And as a media-related organization, I think that is something ALJA can and should be able to engage in. So that is something we're certainly looking into, and just seeing how we can just document the history of the media, not just more generally about individual members of the media, who have accomplished so much at the likes of Philip Reese.
Right, documentaries. That's what I wanted to add. Can Aja help with documentaries? And so I know the convention is what you're working on now. What are other things, projects, and other things that are in the pipeline?
Yeah, I just talked about some of them. One of the things again we're being very intentional about is just continuing to build relationships with colleges and university. Over the last 8 years that we've done these conventions, we've brought about close to 50 journalists to the country, and they've come, they've been able to get training, they've been able to visit different media institutions and seeing how technologies work, how the media here do their business. Are we able to now leverage our relationship with these universities and colleges to get scholarships for our colleagues in Liberia, whether year or back in Liberia? So we're looking forward to this conversation we'll be having this weekend in Worcester with the college. The Assumption University is called. We will be visiting the university and touring the campus, but also meeting the leadership of the university to talk about how we can partner together to be able to benefit our colleagues in Liberia. We have a really good relationship right now with the University of Minnesota. We struck that relationship a couple of years ago when we hosted the convention here in 2018. We were in New Jersey last year. We developed a partnership, a relationship with the College of New Jersey. So the goal is how do we leverage these different relationships as an organization that will benefit ultimately, our colleagues in Liberia. So that is something we'll be more intentional about doing as an organization. One of the things we and I say this, and I think I say this to my colleagues, what I've learned over the last several months is that yeah, we're an organization that is committed to engaging our colleagues in Liberia. But what I've said to my colleagues is that we got to also be intentional about impacting the community in which we live. We live here in the United States, and if we can be able to impact on our community in some way, shape, and form, it helps us to build relationship either with local government, whether at the city level, at the state level, or even the national level. We're leveraging this relationship so that ultimately it benefits ALJA. Particular pointing cases, the COVID-19. ALJA engaged the Minnesota Department of Health months ago when COVID was at its zenith, and we are contracted to provide do COVID clinics to be able to vaccinate folks in the community. That was really successful. Hundreds of people were vaccinated because of the COVID clinics that were hosted by ALJA. ALJA became a name in the community that everybody could not refer to. We were then building relationship with local government, and that relationship, ended up giving us a little bit of money. But I believe we should be more intentional, not just in Minnesota, but in other states where we have our chapters. So we're engaging the local communities, we're engaging the federal authorities, we're engaging state authorities, we're engaging local authorities. So we're impacting our communities while at the same time trying to impact our colleagues in Liberia. I think we can do both. So that's one of the things we'll be more intentional about again as we go towards the new year.
Thank you. I want to ask about challenges, but before, two things I've observed in many Liberian organizations in the diaspora here. Number one, you have more people at your convention during the election here because we are either in haste to put someone in power or to remove the other person. And two, from my experience also is the financial report. And there's a joke about my siblings and I that my brothers mainly balance brought forward. So when they are reading the financial reports, oh, interesting. Oh, this time $30,000, and then has to do the expenses. Balance brought forward $3.26. What is ALJA experience when it comes to the attendance at these conventions and also balance brought forward? I see that a lot.
Yeah, we're looking forward to a significant number of our membership showing up at this year's convention, and I do agree, Dennis. There's no dispute about that. When it's an election year, obviously election means a lot to a lot of people. So conventions are always more crowded during an election year versus a non-election year. But that said, we still will have a significant number of our membership showing up for this year's convention, and we're very open and transparent about our financials. I think it's important for our colleagues to know where we are, because these are people who support the organization with the dues and with fees they pay, and they have a responsibility to know, what is in the account. We're hopeful when we made a report this year that $3 will not be the balance that is carried over. It'll be more than $3.
Dr. Johnson, you are laughing too much. You want to say anything? You are muted.
You're muted, Sam.
You have been laughing because he started first with 30,000, and then balance brought forward is $3.
You hear that a lot. I mean, when they start reading the report, you are so excited that, okay, we have a lot of money.
So the expenditure is just about what they raise in terms of income. But so by the time the balance go over, it's $3.
Dr. Abdullah Dukli is asking a question here. Let me see if I can put it on the screen. You probably addressed this already. It says, I'm a founding member of ALJA in the 1990s. We were all practicing journalists. Should we say Association of Former Liberian Journalists because you don't practice journalism now? I think you addressed that, so speak to that.
So Sim, go ahead. Sim, you spoke to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have Dr. Duke commenting and following our activities. Dr. Duke, you are still a member. Once a journalist, always a journalist. Then we'll be happy to have you in our fold. And the way the organization is structured, it's not only structured now for only practicing journalists. Like I said in my opening, it includes both practicing and formally practicing journalists. And especially with people like you who have so much wealth of experience, it will only be impactful if we could have you in our fold to continue to support and provide some direction on the work that we do in Liberia. And I think you'll be an inspiration to a lot of the younger folks, knowing that a man of your stature was one of their kind. So it's not that you don't practice journalism, and it's not because you don't practice journalism anymore. We don't see you as a member. Take the likes of Isaac Bantu, for example. I'm not sure whether Isaac is still practicing, but Isaac is going to be at this year's convention. In fact, he's going to be one of those we are going to be honoring for his work to journalism and to the organization. And so just my own way of saying that you are welcome. We'll still see you as part of the fold anytime. You are still a member.
Let's talk about challenges. I know the balance brought forward may be one of those challenges. But what are the issues ALJA confronting with, and what are some of the steps you are taking to resolve those issues? Opportunities as well. I don't want to talk about challenges as only.
Yeah, obviously, money is always an issue when it comes to an organization such as ours, because for us to be able to do really big things as an organization, just listen to some of the things I mentioned earlier, we need to be able to raise money, and not just raise, money from dues that members paid. We need to, be more intentional about going out there and doing grant proposal and getting money. So we're doing that as an organization. We're being intentional about, working for projects, seeking grants that will be able to help us do the work we want to do. So yes, we'll be raising money again this year. Every year we have to do it. One of the reasons why we go to this convention is to make sure we're raising money to be able to just help us accomplish all the different things. Look, we're able to. I know the vice president mentioned this earlier. we're able to contribute to about 16, I think 16 media institutions, in terms of just in addition to the training, to the scholarship, 16 media institution for a year is just a drop in the bucket. After we did that, we still got calls from a lot of them. Hey, you guys did
Mhm.
not reach out to us. You guys did not, So this need is so great. The need is huge, and we cannot do more than our funding capacity allows us to do. So we just need to be able to raise more money as an organization, so that way we can be able to make a greater impact, get more students on scholarship, provide more training capacity building for our colleagues. So yes, if we have one significant challenge, it would be just funding and be able to raise money.
Dr. Johnson, I told you this question was coming. If ALJA was to cease to exist today, what would all of us, including those in Liberia, miss? And as a result of that, what do you want to tell those watching us now and those who want to watch later?
One thing I would hope that people will miss ARJA for if ARJA were to cease to exist today is its support to the development of the media in Liberia. I think that is where we've made our greater impact, and that is one way we are contributing essentially to the growth of the profession and indirectly to the development of the country. And so, in that direction, I welcome all and everyone who's desirous of seeing an unfettered media environment and unfettered media practice in Liberia to lend that support to the work we do, to lend that support to the programs we carry on in Liberia, the provision of logistics for journalist function, the provision of scholarship, the provision of training. And as I say, I encourage people to support. I'm not only talking about the moral support. Yes, we appreciate the moral support, but to undertake these endeavors, it requires finances. As the
Yeah.
president went over some of the numbers, you can tell how much squeeze we are in. So we welcome people giving their financial support to these ventures. When we can give a financial support is to maybe support our event that is coming up this weekend in Massachusetts. You don't necessarily have to be there. You could just buy a ticket for $100. That could go a long way in supporting the good work we do.
Thank you.
And
And I,
the other thing too, when AJA ceases to exist, you can argue one way or the other about our advocacy, but you cannot dispute the fact that our voice is perhaps the most credible voice when it comes to advocacy
Mhm.
from the diaspora. You can argue that one or the other. And like the vice president said, I've gotten so many calls whenever there's an event in the country. We've gotten so many calls. People are anxious to hear our position. What is AJA saying? And I think because they see us as an organization that is credible enough that when we do say something, people tend to listen. So if we disappeared from the scene completely, that voice will be gone, and I think that would be a big loss to advocacy. And for a lot of other people who are involved in this exercise. So I just wanted to make that point in terms of the agile would have disappeared from the scene.
so what do you want us to do?
But the vice president said, I mean, we need everybody. Look, Agile is a noble cause. Just giving back, just something to make a difference. If you take that introspection of the media in Liberia, the challenges are just huge. I
Yeah.
mean, whether it is the media ability to sustain itself, whether it is all the ethical transgressions that go wrong because people don't even have livable wage in terms of folks who work in the country. I mean, there's a litany of issues that the media is going through right now. As an organization, we cannot solve all the problem, but we are one of organization that is trying to make a difference. And so, my plea to journalists here in the US, in the diaspora, if you truly believe in this cause, if you truly believe in the different economic, if you truly believe it's important for young journalists to be on scholarship, yeah, the university is free, but they're so challenged in terms of, just having data, just having transportation, just having the books, that if you believe that journalists need to have the requisite training, you will support this cause. If you believe that our voice is one that is helping to sustain the democracy we are enjoying in the country, you will join this cause. We're not like we said, we're not the police, but we believe that there's so much you can offer. Your journalists out there, what is, all of us here on the focus of Liberia. And at our end too, we need to be more intentional. Be more intentional. Our membership committee is calling people and reaching out to them and trying to sell the idea of what ALJA is to them. So that way, all of us can join this cause and try to make that difference that we can make when it comes to just changing the media landscape as it currently exists in the country.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. I thank you very much for your time. We have one caller who is on the line. We'll bring that caller in very soon. But overall, the challenges in Liberia when it comes to the media, because we too, as an institution, we have our reporters in Liberia, and this is huge. The need to train and to equip those that are on the ground is enormous. I mean, if you just look at the data that they have to be online alone, that cost. The cell phone that they are using, they are riding these motorbikes and these keke. The phones are dropping, they are spoiling. Everywhere you see that there is a need. So the need is just too much. And journalism, the way the polarization of our politics today, and media institution or politicians own media institutions, and so you could see that the one who feeds you, you eat my rice, you got to sing my song. In your work in Liberia, how are you? I know you are saying that, but how are you trying to kind of help or resolve that issue or engage with it, or kind of deal with it in the first place? I mean, it's just too much. Those who have the money, the politicians, they have the institution and time. There are some media institutions that are almost closing and waiting for the election time when the politicians are coming in. I know you have that experience. How you deal with it?
Maybe I'll talk about it a little bit and then Sam can address it. So yeah, you couldn't have said it right. I mean, you said it's enormous. I say ginormous. The issues are just huge in terms of what is occurring when it comes to the media in Liberia. What we try to do, at least from the end, we recognize that we are not on the ground in Liberia. Yeah, while we know the problems that exist, we're not on the ground. So what we try to do is partner with our colleagues in Liberia, whether it is at the level of the PUL, whether it is the different subsets that exist within the PUL, whether it is the Female Journalists Association of Liberia. What we try to do is sit down with them and talk about the issues and say, okay, these are the issues that exist. How do you all believe ALJA can be more impactful in terms of how we find a resolution to what is occurring in the country when it comes to the media? And so we listen to them, and then if it's the targeted kind of training that we need to provide, we're providing that training. If it's logistics that they need, we're providing the logistics. So that's what we're trying to do. We know it's a small effort that we're making, but again, like we said, as our capacity grows to do more, we'll do more. But the answer to your question is that we need to find solutions to this problem in concert with the folks on the ground, and the PL being the mother organization is the organization we deal with the most.
Right, and you understand that there's a lot on your shoulders. I don't know, you appreciate that also, because most of you are all former journalists. So a young journalist coming up have heard these names. I mean, I was talking to Priscilla, and when she was just calling the names, just hearing the names was bringing back to me that old glory. So that besides what you do is people look up to you for direction. What are you saying in this issue? So I wonder you realize there's the giant rock that's on your shoulder. But hold that thought. Let me bring in my first caller. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
My name is Ahmed Salif. I'm calling from Minneapolis. Good evening, Mr. President and Mr. Vice President.
Good evening, Ahmed. Good evening to you.
Go ahead, Ahmed, you're live.
Okay, so I just want to thank President Mason and Dr. Johnson and all the ALJA executives who have been working hard to keep this organization alive and going, and for everything you've done really in the past. Earlier on, I wrote a comment and Dennis read. Mine wasn't to suggest that all you do is issue statements. That is exactly the point that Dennis just made, that the task and the expectations of ALJA, the tasks are so huge. For example, the quality of Liberian journalism and the product that we get in Liberia when journalists write in the print media, or when you listen to young journalists struggle to read news on the radio, on national radio, struggle to pronounce names of foreign dignitaries or diplomats in the country. It just tells you the challenges that we have nationally, that what the media struggles with in Liberia sort of is a microcosm of the national problem. So we're not here to berate Liberia. We do that a lot. But what I'm really pointing out to ALJA is you have a lot to do. The task ahead, and I suggest to you that you can get a lot of help. The donors out there. There are all kinds of potential ways that you could really organize and bring folks together. Some of us, I've not been so close and involved, and I have to admit, my good friend, Dr. Alex Red, has always tried to involve me and so on. But what I can tell you is, if ALJA disrespected Liberia media organization based in the U.S., you have a whole lot to do. Just the training component alone, just trying to uplift and bring Liberian journalism, to a level where it's respected in the region, because we're not there. I don't know how we can do that, to go back to the glorious days that Dennis is talking about. Maybe that's not where we need to go, because media has changed everywhere around the world now, social media and different kinds of ways of training journalists. But the idea of having very high quality media personality on air who has done their research, who can speak to issues, with such eloquence and knowledge. And that makes the country proud. That makes all of us proud. And it's upon us, the onus is on all of us to really try to elevate and make, Liberian journalists to be among some of the competitive journalists in the region. But right now we don't have, unfortunately, the state of affairs of Liberian media and Liberian journalism. What is the journalism training programs at a university? What is just, like I said, radio or print media, everywhere the need is just so much.
Thank you, Ahmed. There was this old man in Drazon, my friend told me, he went to a program, they said something, he said, "Oh, what you said touched the bone of my heart." So if what Ahmed said touched the bone of your heart, what's your response?
What Ahmed said touched the bone of my heart.
Okay.
And he couldn't have been farther from the truth. He hit it right on the head. And I didn't mean to mischaracterize your earlier comments, Ahmed. The challenges are enormous, and we are aware of all of the points you've made. But we are still in a state of recovery in Liberia as a country, and what we see is reflective of that whole recovery process. Notwithstanding, we still see ourselves as having this obligation to contribute to this recovery process. And so what we've been doing, not to restate one thing more than twice, is as part of our convention has been to provide some kind of specialist reporting for people to learn basic skills. So like last year, we talked about social media reporting, for example. We also included disability reporting. And our expectation is that the reporters who come to these events, because the training are not only provided for the reporters that come to the States to be a part of the convention, except this year, but in previous years, they've also included reporters in Liberia. At the last year, I think we had over 20 reporters gathered at the I Center on Kerry Street. Is it Kerry Street or Bessie Street? But somewhere right in central Monrovia.
Kerry
who were
Street.
linked, who were linked to the training program here at our convention through technology. And our hope for these things is to develop people's skills so that they'll be able to be impactful journalists. And one thing we all can attest to, and I think we all long for that kind of reporting, that is why we are so concerned about it, is that when we're in the practice, we took it seriously. It's not the guys who dare to don't take it seriously, but we're able to engage, we're able to research, we're able to provide topical questions. We recognize that it's a shortcoming of the current era, but notwithstanding, we are working. And like you said, the challenges are enormous. We are working. To provide the training is one thing, for people to utilize the training is another thing. For the environment to exist for people to utilize the training adequately is another issue. So it is in this kind of a dynamic of what I call inherent tension that we are trying to address some of these challenges. But thank you very much for your concern.
Thank you. And not to scare you, that's what I was talking about. It's huge. And yeah, has Admet also said, you know, there's help around. So we can let you do this alone, whatever help that we can give. For instance, you talk about the training. If you don't attend the convention in Worcester this weekend, how do you benefit from the training? Would there be recordings? Would this thing be put in booklet forms and other media channels so that people who did not, attend can see and watch later on?
Yeah.
But thank you so much. At this time, we are drawing down the curtains. Let me get your final thoughts. Let's start with the vice president, because they say when you're cooking potatoes, the big one go under. So Joe will go under and let you be on top. Go ahead,
No
sir.
problem. Once the boss has spoken, no one else speaks.
Yeah.
Well, just to say that we look forward to people supporting our program. We know that the challenges facing the Liberian media is the challenges are enormous, but we are up to that task. We see it as our own way of giving back to the profession that we were once active participant of. And so in so doing, we encourage people to support our programs, and you can support our programs by coming to our convention, buying our banquet tickets. If you can't come to the banquet, you can just run a contribution and just call one of the numbers on the screen, and they will be able to give you all the information that you need. And I'll defer to President Macy.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Dennis, for just affording us this opportunity to come on this evening and talk about ALJA more generally, but more specifically, convention is coming up this weekend. You know, we all said we all recognize the normal challenges that we have as an organization. I tell people, I say, when we practice journalism, I can literally count the number of newspapers, radio stations, and TV stations just with my two hands, right? But now there's such an explosion of media institutions, in Liberia. There's over 100 radio stations, there are community radio stations, to television stations, probably 30 or more newspapers saying, and so you have too many institutions chasing very few qualified people in the country. They're not earning livable wage. They're at the mercy of media owners, so you have a small advertising market in the country that is not able to sustain the media yourself, because everybody chasing the same advertiser. So it's a challenging and difficult environment. But if you contrast that with the role the media in Liberia has played over the years, it still remain, it's one of the few institutions that you can call the bastion of hope when it comes to demanding accountability from the government. So we recognize the role of the media, and we think it's important, for us to continue to sustain the democracy we have. If the media is not operating the way it needs to operate, if it's not professional, it's impact our democracy. So we all have a responsibility to continue to work as hard as we can to make that difference. So if we can do that through assisting the organization this weekend, that will be the very best opportunity you can do that. Buy our ticket. If you're in the Worcester area, stop by. We have a media fund drive. Support the media fund drive, and let's make a difference. I think we still can do that collectively. as individuals who care about and are passionate about the media. So, I'll just say that, and again, thank you so much. It was an honor to be here. I thank you too again for the wonderful work you all do here. Focus on Liberia, and hopefully we can continue to work together and partner together in a way that makes the media landscape better. So, thank you so much.
Thank you. We want to invite you back. Let's talk about all the good things you're going to teach at the program or at the convention, especially, women participation. Let's talk about the role of the media, especially as we go towards election 2023, because if the media blows false alarm, for instance, I mean, there's always trouble. So
Yeah.
we need to talk about that. Tomorrow at 1 p.m., right here on Focus on Labro, watch the Hour of Politics with the political bulldog Anthony Sie, and then at 7 p.m. you watch Abby Tyler Healthy Living right here. Gentlemen, again, thank you so much. I want to thank our viewers for being here, always watching Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. At this time, we're going to close the broadcast, and we never do so without playing our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Whether you are Grebo, Crew, Crown, Gola, Bassa, Loma, we are all Liberians. Whether you are for Unity Party or CDC, ANC, LPP, whatever party you are for, we are all Liberians. And it is incumbent upon all of us to do our best to make our country the glorious land of liberty. Have a good night and God bless.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.